Okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, wherever you are. And thank you very much for joining. I think we should get started now. And people who join in a little bit late, and I'm sure there'll be a few people coming in, can just pick it up from wherever they join. Okay, so I want to start with an overview of the two options that are now available, finally, for our accommodation during the Happy Walk. And one of the options is what I'm going to call the standard option, which is the hotel, which is what we started with. We didn't even consider any other options. The hotel option is a little bit different now than it was before, in the sense that earlier we were thinking of staying in A Coruña and then coming back to A Coruña every day after the walk, and a bus would transport us to the next starting point every day and bring us back to the starting point, bring us back to the hotel at the end point every day, etc. And Lubov, our hero here, found out that we have a better option, which is that we don't have to come back to A Coruña at all, and we just basically stay in a hotel very close to wherever the endpoint is each day. And it turns out that there are actually decent hotels at the endpoints. And so that's what we're going to do. It takes out a lot of unnecessary travel on the bus, although I think the bus travel would have had some positives. We would have sat next to somebody over a longish period of time and gotten to know them. But I suppose we can do that on the walk. Okay, so that's the first option, the hotel. And within that first option, there are two options. One is that you can take a single room, a room all to yourself, which obviously will be a little more expensive. And that option costs 1,200 euros. And there is also the double sharing kind of option, double room, and that is going to be less. It's going to be 850 euros. And what does this amount include? It includes obviously your hotel room, but it also includes, and by the way, the hotel room has an attached bath each time. And I mentioned this only because the second option, which I'll discuss in a little bit, the hostel option does not have the attached bath, as far as I know. So Dr. Ketana can confirm this. So you get the room, you also get breakfast, and you get a packed lunch every day. And also, very, very important, your luggage is going to be transferred every day to the new hotel. So you don't have to lug it. You can just walk with your two free hands, with your hands free, I mean. I do want to mention, though, here that this does mean that every day we need to keep our bags ready. And I suppose we have to bring them to the lobby or someplace where the tour organizer will collect it and put it in a van or something and then transport it to the next place. It'll be waiting for us, hopefully, every time when we arrive. Okay, so that's what the hotel price includes. The second option, the hostel option, or what's called the albergue option, I think that's how I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I think I'm pronouncing it right. And that one is the more traditional, or the kind of authentic way to do the Happy Walk, where you stay in this hostel that was built for the pilgrims. If I understand it correctly, it is going to be significantly less expensive. I think that it's going to come to overall about $200 across the 6 or 7 days, 7 nights that we are staying. So, compared to the double sharing, it's 1/4 or even a little bit less than 1/4 of the price of that. But it is going to come at some creature discomfort, so to speak. You'll have to share a dorm room with several others, maybe 10 other people. So there may be issues about snoring, things like that. And you won't have a shared bathroom either, okay? Now, honestly, if I was just doing by myself, I would have probably preferred it because it just seems in some ways cooler. Certainly after the whole thing is over, I think that I would say that, yeah, I did it the authentic way, right? But given that I'm going to be kind of like moderating the event or organizing the event, I want to make sure that I get a good night's sleep. That will be very important for me. And so I'm going to pick the hotel option. And so anyway, so those are the two options. And what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about the payment. So the payment is due on the 25th of April, which is 1 week from today. And you, depending on the option you choose, single or double sharing, the amount will vary a little bit. So if it's double sharing, you have to wire them 170 euros. If you want a single room, all to yourself, then it's 240 euros that you need to wire to Flamingo Tours. And I've already emailed to you the details of how to, like, where to wire, etc. If you have any questions about it, you can always email us and we will help you out. Okay. If you do choose the hotel room and you want double sharing or twin sharing, you'll at some point have to indicate who it is that you would like to room with. Of course, we can do the assignment for you, but if you develop some kind of understanding of each person on the Happy Walk, then perhaps you'll have a preference, and it's okay to indicate the preference on the Google Sheet. Just put a slash after on your row where it says hotel single or double. After the word double, you can put a slash there and then write the name of the person with whom you would like to share the room. Okay. All right. At some point, I think that it might be useful for us to look at a map and see each place where we are going to start each day on the walk and end each day on the walk. At least for me, I tend to be a visual person, so it does help me. If anybody else is like that too, then it'll help you as well to be able to visualize like a bird's eye picture of the path or the route, and also some pictures of the hotels that we are going to stay in. Okay, so I will do that work and I will send you an email with an attachment which has all these details later this week. Okay. And we'll of course have other opportunities to meet up online, and those might be also opportunities where we can look at these pictures together. Okay, so with that, I'm going to see if there are any questions from anyone. Just unmute yourself and speak up if you have any questions.
From Santiago to Ferrol, is it easy to get by train? Do I have to book a train in advance, or can I just go? Does anyone know?
I think Dr. Kitana, I'm going to defer to you on this question.
Yes, so hi, from Santiago, there's generally lots of buses there. I think I'm pretty sure there is no train to Ferrol, but there's plenty of buses that probably you will not need to book in advance. Just check the schedules and make sure that there is a schedule that suits you, and usually the buses you buy on the go.
And do you know how much time it takes? Approximately?
It should be around 2 hours, 1 hour and a half, something like this.
So that means I'll be able to arrive at the day I land. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Eva Maria has raised her hand. You go for it, Eva. And I hope it's okay to call you Eva. Eva Maria, we're not able to hear you. I don't know if you're speaking. You might be muted. Yeah, you are muted.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm on my phone, so it's taking me.
Okay, no worries.
Hi, everyone. So I think my first question is date-wise, because the first last time when we spoke, there was still some uncertainty where we would spend the last evening. So I held off on booking a flight, so that now I can write down maybe the exact dates when to be there and when it's best to leave again.
Okay, so let me do this. Let me just share with you all the path. And here again, I think that maybe Dr. Kitana, because she's from that area, can tell us more. First of all, is everyone able to see? Dr. Kitana, can you see the attachment that I've shared? Okay, so Day one, we arrive in Ferrol. I think that you should arrive by, let's say, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., something like this, ideally, because then we can meet up as a group around 6 p.m. and get to know each other, and then maybe even have dinner together before we go to sleep. Okay. And then next morning, we walk from Ferrol to Neda. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right, by the way. 15 kilometers. Okay. And we should be able to do it in 2 hours. So that's a pretty easy start the next day. And then the day after that, we go from Neda to Pontedume, and so on. Okay. Now you're talking about the very last day, correct, Eva Maria? When we arrive in Santiago de Compostela on 18th of August, correct? You have a question about
Yes,
that?
correct.
Right? Yeah. So
Yes.
that day we are walking for 4 hours, and let's say we start around 9 a.m. So we will be done by around 2 p.m. And then you should be able to take a flight. I'd say the earliest that I would book is around 6 p.m. personally, just to make sure that you have sufficient time. I don't know if that is enough though. So I'll defer again to Dr. Ketana there.
That was now on the 18th or then.
Oh, that was not the issue. What was the issue?
No, oh, sorry, I was just reconfirming the date. Is the 18th. The 18th is the last day of actually walking.
Yes. 18th
Okay.
is, and then 19th, we're all going to stay there. That last night will be nice, even though we finished the walk and everything. So you could technically leave that day, but it'd be nice if people stayed back. And we do have a hotel that night, and we'll have a farewell dinner of sorts, just to say goodbyes.
Guys, just to interrupt, sorry, Raj.
No
As
worries.
far as I've never been on such a walk, but because of you, I had to speak to lots of people that have been there. First, this day you have 4 hours walk, but you'll be tired. It might be a little bit longer first. Second, once you arrive in Santiago, the end of the trip is always marked by visiting the cathedral. And there are huge crowds and waiting. So for me, it looks risky if someone wants to book a flight on the 18th.
That's a good point.
Anyway, there is a booked hotel, but up to you.
Yeah, that's a very good
These
point.
4 hours are not 4 hours and then you arrive in the hotel, because nobody can tell you how long you're going to wait to enter the cathedral.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Thank you for raising that.
Sorry, I chip in as well. When you arrive in Santiago de Compostela, also not only entering the cathedral, you will probably want to get your stamps all signed and get the diploma. Probably, well, it's a very nice gift that you take back home as a souvenir of having walked the Camino. So probably it's something also most of you will want to wait for, and that is sometimes even more longer wait than going into the cathedral, actually. So yes, leaving on the 18th. And Santiago is also a very, very nice city that most people actually like to stay there a little bit extra just to be able to enjoy being in the capital city of such an ancient, with such an ancient history and everything. So yes, I would also recommend that nobody leaves on the 18th as they arrive.
Great. Yeah, this is all confirming that please do leave on the 19th, not on the 18th. And I will include that as a recommendation in the email that goes out later today after the meeting is over. Okay, so Eva Maria, does it answer all your questions, or can we move on to Britt, or do you still have some?
Yeah, no, that's perfect, because I mean, it makes sense to me. I didn't walk the Camino, but I walked a similar thing before, and I just know it's nice to also give the end enough time, because you're not only physically tired, but also you're so full from 5-6 days.
Yeah.
The last thing I remember was I did not want to go home. It was quite the opposite. It was just like I want to be in that liminal space. No, the only other thing I wanted to ask is, because I don't know anyone from the group personally, so I'm super open if anybody would like to share a room with me, but I don't know anyone, so I will not put a name next to my name in the list.
So one of the ideas that I had on this point, and then we'll turn to Britt in just a moment.
Sure.
is that we all kind of answer a few questions about ourselves, and I will send you the document with the questions. And if you send it back to me, I'll upload it on Google Docs, or maybe all of you can independently upload it and we can share it. And that way we get to know a little bit about each other, a little bit about each other's interests and things like what really matters to us and things like that. And that might give us some indication of who it is that we would like to room with. Okay. So I just wanted to put it out there. Of course, you can go ahead and choose your roommates even before that happens, because I think that it's a small enough group that we'll get to know everybody relatively intimately by the end of the trip, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so over to Britt now. Go ahead, Britt.
Hello. Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. For some reason, my video turned off. So I have signed up for the hostel option. And I was just wondering, because we have a day one in a way, arriving at Ferrol, and we also have the last day, 18th, for the night of 19. You would discussed like maybe sort of a farewell dinner or something. Will it be? Should be the ones that are signed up for hostel? Should we arrange with the hotel ourselves in those ends, or are there actually hostels or herbergs also in those two places?
Okay, so this is where we have to turn to Dr. Ketana, and I wanted to keep all the questions regarding the hostels toward the end so that all the questions about it can be addressed at the same time. So are we ready to move on to talking about the hostels at this point? Are there any other questions about the hotel, about the path, about the breakfast, lunch? By the way, the dinners are going to be on your own, quote unquote, on your own. We'll of course be all together. And I do have one question before we move on to the hostels. Sorry, Victoria, I know that your hand is up, but I want to make sure that this question is answered. So, and again, I think Dr. Ketana, you are probably in the best position to answer this question. Are there dinner options in each of these places? Or are some of these places so remote that there are no dinner options? And if so,
there are dinner options, and bars and restaurants are the most successful business in Spain in general. Also in all of these tiny.
Okay, Dr. Ketana, you're really breaking up quite a lot at my end, at least.
And countryside villages that we will be stopping at. No problem. We will have no problem with dinners at all.
Okay, so you were freezing up quite a bit at my end. Can somebody else confirm that that is happening at your end as well? Lubov,
Yes.
were you able to hear her?
Yes, here
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah. So Dr. Ketana, I don't know if you're in an area, the reception
Sorry,
is not good.
is it breaking then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a robo voice in parcels.
Yeah, it's breaking up quite a bit. If there's any chance that you
Can you
move to
hear me now, or am I still cutting off?
Yeah, it's better now.
Still cutting off.
Yeah, it's slightly better now, but still not great. So I don't know if it seems like you're outside. Perhaps the internet connection is not so strong.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is much better. Hello, can you say something else?
Do you think you can hear me better right now?
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good.
In the
Thank you.
dinner option in the little villages where we will be stopping will not be a
Will not be a?
will not be a problem.
Will not be a problem. Okay, got
No,
it.
not a problem. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very
It
much.
will be a problem for maybe those people who have some type of
Restriction.
well, for example, food limitations regarding vegetarians or vegans. This Galicia is a region where we eat a lot of fish, a lot of seafood, and a lot of meat, and traditional dishes are based on meats and fishes. So finding a good, proper vegan meal will be the hardest part for those of you who have some kind of restrictions. Gluten sensitivities should be taken into consideration as well, because we use a lot of bread in our meals, and people with gluten sensitivities or food allergies should be mindful and maybe bring a little bit of their own, or find supermarkets or something that will not be a problem. But yes, we are not very, in our culture, it's not very typical to take those limitations into consideration yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I see Victoria smiling. Probably she's already.
I love
Did I
Spanish
answer one of
food.
the questions?
So I'm going to add a column on the Google Sheet called dietary restrictions, and people can put in stuff there, and hopefully somebody can answer those questions. Maybe Dr. You, sorry to kind of like go back to you for all these things. But you know, you're the local expert, particularly now that Penny, who was the local expert, she's not going to be able to join for some, you know, personal reasons, and Lubov and Valia too are not. So, you know, I'm really, really deeply grateful that you're there, Doctor.
Thank you. No problem.
In a bit of a soup. Okay, so so Penny actually told me that there are a couple of places in particular where perhaps it's going to be a little bit maybe difficult, and one of those is Hospital de Bruma and then Siguero. These two places are a little bit more remote, and she said dinner options may be a little bit tougher there, but you've reassured us that everywhere we'll find something. Great, perfect. Okay,
yes,
so
I assure you, you will find something, but again, people with food or dietary restrictions may have extra limitations in those places. So meaning for some people, local people, being vegetarian means you only eat lettuce and tomatoes and onions, basically. So that's local people's concepts of being vegetarian. So unfortunately, there will be not so many sources of protein for those who are vegan.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, people can take the opportunity to go on a long fast as well. Okay, all right.
Or bring some protein powder that
Exactly.
is easy to bring, for example, and that you can at any time mix in your water bottle or something like that to make sure you have your protein intake, which of course, me being a doctor, is a big concern, of course, that I would not want anyone feeling dizzy or anything during the walk. It is an intensive walk. We will be walking hours and hours, day after day. And also it's the summertime. So it's the hottest month of the year, August. We are going to be walking more or less from 9, 10 a.m. or sometimes a little bit sooner if the weather seems very hot, because of course, around 11, 12 a.m., 11 in the morning, 12 midday will be the hottest hours of the day. Mm-hmm. And some areas might not necessarily have natural shadows, natural shade. Mm-hmm. So this is something, of course, we need to take into consideration for those who may have those dietary restrictions, especially since that's especially mm-hmm. demanding for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to put another column on the Google Sheet saying things to bring, and I'm already adding some things to it, like a hat, dark glasses, a water bottle, some snacks, etc.
Sunscreen. Mm-hmm.
Sunscreen, yeah, that's good. And anybody else, if you want to go up and add things there, that's fine. Please feel free to do that. Okay. All right. So now let's turn to Victoria's burning question. Go for it.
It's not a burning question, Raj. Thank you so much. I wanted to just a suggestion from my side. So when we match the roommates, perhaps we can also consider the sensitivity. So for example, for me, I don't care about noise. I am very tolerant, but I need AC. And there are some people who cannot take AC. And just other way around. So maybe that could be an idea when designing the question. That's all.
Okay, that's a good point. And I think that is a question that I will add to the list of questions that I was going to send. So thank you very much for that input, Victoria. So I'll say that, is there anything that your roommate should know about your preferences that might affect choice of roommate?
Comfort, right? Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
May I take the word now? Good afternoon from
yes,
Sofia.
Yes,
that's Alex.
Hi, Alex.
I'm sorry, I simply do not have the raise hand sign here, so that's why I'm breaking in. I just want to make a remark that those 2 hours for 15 kilometers is far too optimistic.
Yeah,
I
that
can
is-
assure you that no matter what the terrain is, the maximum speed one can achieve is 5, maximum 6 kilometers per hour. So
Yes.
some of those numbers are not correct.
Yeah, you're right. On second glance, you're absolutely right. And anyway, I think that at least personally, this is not something that I want. It's not a task that I want to finish every day. It's more like enjoying the journey. And so I personally, I'm going to chill. I'm going to walk slowly, not like super slow, but naturally in a slow kind of a gait. So that's me. So if anything, I may be walking at 4 kilometers an hour rather than even 5, perhaps. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, and that is Britt again, I think. Did you want to say something, Britt?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, I think that was good. So let me just kind of close out with maybe a couple of questions on the hostel option. And this is over to you again, Doctor. We had already discussed that it's going to probably come to around $200, and I think that around, 20 or something dollars per night in each of the places, to euros rather, which is a little more expensive than dollars. And then, of course, the food and everything. So I imagine that what will happen is that the hostels are not terribly far from the hotels because these are small villages. And so you'll kind of like walk over to the hotel perhaps in the morning and perhaps have breakfast with us at the hotel or somewhere else and come there. And then we'll have a certain starting time each day. And that will be communicated in advance. And so if you're there, then we can just start walking from there. Okay. Now, in terms of the luggage, right? How does the luggage move? And so here, maybe Lubov, you can kind of tell us if this is even a possibility and what it might do to the prices. Can the people who are staying in the hostels bring their luggage to our lobby and be transported that? Is that a possibility at all?
I never raised this question, Raj, so I cannot answer this. I need to ask.
Okay. I think that it should be okay, in my opinion, just because, how do they know? Some people might have 2. In fact, I will have probably 2 suitcases because I'll be traveling from India. I'm like on a 2-month kind of a trip. And so I will have at least 1 big suitcase and 1 small suitcase. And so, that will have to be transported. And it's an addition of, I don't know how many people really are going to go for the albergue option. So right now, can you guys raise your hand? Or if you can't raise your hand, because you're on a phone, unmute and speak up and say you're interested in the camping option. So obviously Doctor, and I think Brett, right? Is there anyone else in this group? No. Okay. So on the Google Sheet, when I go to the Google Sheet, let me see. How many?
No, Raj, in terms of probably suitcases,
Mm-hmm.
depends on the number of people. If there are 3 times more people camping than staying in the hotel, it will be visible. But another thing that might be visible if people who are camping have some camping equipment. So, and these tents. So
There's
No,
no
it
camping,
will
by
not
the way.
happen because we're not camping. We're
No
not
camping.
camping. We're
Oh.
going to local albergues, which is the
Okay.
local
hostels
for
Okay.
pilgrims,
So then
exclusively
it
designated.
depends on the number of people anyway. So
Yeah.
And
So-
just for your peace of mind, know that there are taxi services that already are working, that you just find them anywhere, because in these local villages, they're very tiny villages, as you've mentioned, and they are everywhere, these taxi drivers, that for 3 to 5 euros, they take also your
transport.
luggage to the next stop. It's just a luggage transfer. For those people who do want to take their luggage, and maybe imagine that your hotel each day, or this is not possible, let's say from your hotel for some reason, or because we're too many, this would still not be a problem for those willing to not carry their luggage. I've walked the Camino 3 times. One of the times I did it this way with my luggage being carried, and it's a very simple and secure way of not carrying your luggage as well. So this should not be a concern either. And you can do it some days, and maybe some other days you don't feel like walking with your luggage. And so it's also possible to do it like this freely. Yes.
Mhm.
From what I see, if you are not having tents with you, from what I've seen from in your Excel file, it's 50-50 now. People on Auberge and people in the hotel. So
No, Lubov. There's only 5 people on the alberg and 17.
and so there is no problem for 5 people. Their baggage to merge in your baggage.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there won't be a problem.
I don't think that we should even raise this question with the agents.
Okay, all right. Because they'll it might send.
I don't think so either. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And worst case scenario, if they see campers or not campers, the hostel people coming with their luggage and they say, who's this? We didn't agree. We'll just pay for the taxi. I think that we can just get 2 taxis or something to transport, maximum 2 taxis. Yeah.
It's not going to be a problem. Yes.
Not going to be a problem. All right. Nuria, you have your hand up.
Hi, how are you? Nice to sort of see you all. Because I had a bit of an operation and this side of things is not as clear as the other. Sorry about that. I was just wondering if the difference in price was quite dramatic. Like, for instance, if we go for the hostel, will that drop the price like, I don't know, significantly?
Yes. So I don't know if you were there at the part where I covered it. I think you came in late. So the hostel is only going to be around 200 euros. Okay, per person. And the cheapest hotel option sharing is 4 times that, 800 euros.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So I guess that perhaps a few of you might have changed your minds.
I don't know. I mean, if you want to change your mind, you should indicate it in the Google Sheet, or you can email it to me. And if you're not able to go to the Google Sheet, I will change it for you. But you have to do it soon, though, Nuria, because within a week we have to wire the money.
Definitely.
So you have to indicate. So speaking of the hostel again, Dr. Kitten, I had another question. Is there some chance that you arrive at a new place and there is no rooms left in this hostel? Is there a possibility at all? And if so, then what happens?
It is a possibility, but there's always more than one hostel alberg in each place. So usually, and this Camino is not the most popular one, like the French one. So that usually happens in the French Camino. But again, if you don't find in one of the albergs, you walk another 3-4 minutes inside of the same town and you will find a place where you can sleep. If not, this would require that we go to a private hostel, local hostel, which may raise the price to 25 or 30 euros. So it's a little bit more expensive than the pilgrims albergs, but it will not be a problem as well. They're very used to it.
That's very good to know. And I think as a very last resort, I'm going to have a single room, and I'm totally okay with somebody saying, I don't have any rooms. Can I share with you? I'm okay with that. I will make sure that I get a room with a double bed, separate bed, etc., so that it's not an issue. And I think that there's 1 or 2 more people with single rooms. I imagine that they'd be okay with that too. So we do have that as a fallback option.
I read there is another question regarding in the Brit asked if credit cards are accepted or only cash. Now be aware that in most places we are going to be in tiny villages, and not necessarily they will have good internet connection. So like myself, I am in a tiny village as well right now. So internet connection depends on the winds more or less. So this is great because we will be able to do a digital detox, but this has the counterpart that many places will not have credit card. I don't know how you call it in English, that machine for the credit cards or the debit cards. So it is recommended to bring a good quantity of cash, just in case. A coffee place, you might stop for a coffee at some point or for a bottle of water, and you will need cash. This may have changed since COVID because I haven't walked the Camino or been in those tiny places since before COVID. And with COVID, all the contactless operations got more and more popular, even in smaller villages. But this cannot be assured, and no one can assure you in advance if the little tiny bar where you will have a little glass of sparkling water or a coffee in a little break will accept this contactless operation or not. So it's best to carry euros. Take into consideration that a coffee here in Galicia is never more than €1, never more than €1.20, €1.50. So it's not like it's going to be a €3 each coffee, like in the UK, for example. So it's pretty inexpensive, but you do need to carry the cash just in case. Well, you know, we are a lot of people. We can always do favors to each other, but of course, minimize this risk of depending on others by bringing cash with you. This for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. Nuria.
Just something little. I'm sorry because I couldn't start on time because my Zoom connection wouldn't work and I had to download the whole thing and I'm on my phone right now. Just to find out if we take this option, the albergue option, the hostel, I understood that the luggage, it is quite likely that can be transported from one point to the other, and that it could be a few of us that would be taking this option. Have I understood correctly?
Correct.
Okay. I think I'm going to talk to my sister, but I think it's highly likely that we are going to take this option.
Perfect.
And we will be coming by car, probably.
You will be coming by
car.
car.
Take the car. Probably we will take the car. But we will have to leave it somewhere, of course. My sister and I have to think about that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that what you can do is that you can maybe leave it in the final point, Santiago de Compostela, and then take a train to Ferrol, the starting point. And then finally, last day when we end in Santiago, the car will be waiting for you and then you drive back or something like that. And the doctor is from that area.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yes, sorry. Now, as many of us will be leaving from Santiago, as the main airport for international arrivals is in Santiago, and many of you will be arriving to Santiago, and then we will all have to, I myself will have to transport myself to Ferrol. Probably we can all as well meet in the station in Santiago de Compostela. The train and bus station is in the same place. It's in the city center. It's very comfortable. Probably there we will have a good meeting point and be able to, I can help you with buying the bus. Well, I think, Nuria, you're Spanish, you will have no problems with the language, but probably others will benefit a little company also in the bus so that we all go together and we make sure we are in time in the right spot.
Okay, so this, of course, assumes that everyone's going to land at approximately the same time or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll put another column on the Google Sheet where you indicate after you booked your tickets, when it is that you're going to be arriving and where, right? I mean, some people might land in A Coruña for all because that's the other airport. Okay, so I have to leave in another minute or so, guys. Sorry about that, but I think that we have covered everything. And if there are any remaining issues, then of course, feel free to email us, right? Everyone's on the same email. One very quick last point. I'm going to assume that everyone's going to be okay with revealing your emails to everyone else, okay? Because so far what I've been doing is BCCing everyone so that, you know, only I know your emails, but I'm going to assume that everyone's okay. And so let me know if you're not, and maybe I'll send one last email to everyone saying, confirming that everyone's okay with revealing everyone's emails. And then if somebody objects, then I won't do it. But otherwise, I'm going to reveal everyone's email to everyone else. Okay. Actually, what already on the Google Sheet, everyone's emails are there.
Exactly. So, on the Excel sheet, everyone's.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Nuria, your hand is still up. Do you have one last question?
Last thing. You were just mentioning about visiting Santiago de Compostela on the last day. And I think that perhaps Cayetana has already said that. We should like pre-book it on the web. And perhaps even to try an option such as a university group or something like that. Either to buy it as an individual or to buy it in group or to buy it under a university type of thing. I believe that we should do it in advance, or otherwise it could be a nightmare. As Cayetana was saying, there's already a huge queue for the pilgrims, for the pilgrim side of things, for the stamps and all that. And then you have to go to the cathedral, and it would be a pity if we waste time queuing.
So I'm not sure that I understood. What is it that we should reserve? So doctor is nodding her head vigorously, so she's understood what you meant. And so maybe you can
Cayetana, you can translate.
No, I was thinking that I was nodding because I was getting another idea that as we visit the cathedral, it would be interesting to get the whole tour of the cathedral, going up to the rooftop of the cathedral, where you get an amazing view of all of the town, all of the capital city of Santiago, which is marvelous. And it would be a shame not to do it, as you all come from so far. It's inexpensive. I think it's like 12 euros for the whole tour around the museum of the cathedral itself. We attend the pilgrim mass, and then we visit the rooftops of the cathedral. And that perhaps is something that if your tour agency cannot do, I'll be happy to, of course,
you know what, doctor? We just do it, okay? This is on me. I'll pay for everyone, okay? By the way, just in the interest of full disclosure, there is a little bit of extra money left over in the tour, the amount that you're wiring, just as a little bit of a buffer. It's not a lot, okay? It's just a little bit. And so if there's anything left over at the end, I will return it to you. Just so you know, it won't be much, maybe 20 euros per person, something like that. But that money can be used for this kind of a thing. Okay, so please go ahead, and if it requires any advance payment, I'm happy to do it. If it doesn't, then if you could reserve it, I think it's a great idea. But just so I understand, is this what Nuria was talking about, or is this different from what she was talking about?
Sort of. Cayetana, mainly I was just thinking that perhaps we could get something like a group price under a university like denomination, if I explain myself properly.
Yes, but
I think that
do we have a university name that we can do under, Nuria? I'm not sure about this.
I mean, maybe University of Texas at Austin. This is where I am at. I don't know if that works. What is this for? We're getting a discount for what?
As a group, as a university group.
For what? For a tour of the place? For what?
Pre-booking what? Through your university.
Is that to skip the line?
Inquiring. I could inquire if you like. I can
okay, please. Yeah. This is for skipping the line, Nuria. This is for skipping the line. What is this for? What is it for? The university discount is for what? For the tour? For skipping the line? For meals at the restaurant?
In order to buy the entries in advance.
Okay. Got it.
Obviously asking as well at the same time if we could have a tour.
I see. Got it.
Perhaps Cayetana knows a better way to do all that.
Yes, usually, as I said, it's really inexpensive. It's like 12 euros for the whole biggest tour, like the most expensive tour around the cathedral installations and everything. It's like 12 euros. It was at least that price last year when I went there. Of course, it's not something I do, being as I'm from here. I don't do it every so often, but I did it last year with some visits, and that was 12 euros. I don't think it can go up more than maybe 12, 15 euros each, but you should not get any problems either. We will have to book in advance, that's for sure. Probably 3 weeks in advance should be necessary to book it for so many, but still that will have no problem. Yeah, we will have to decide. Probably it will be better maybe on the 19th in the morning, because maybe when we arrive on the 18th, we will want to shower, get ready. We will be already tired after getting the diplomas of having walked the Camino and so on, and that's another reason why. And the pilgrim mass that they do a very original thing with a humongous incense burner that we call botafumeiro, and that's a pilgrim's mass. And the pilgrim mass doesn't happen every hour, every day, so also it's something beautiful and amazing and unique to see. And I can see what the schedules are for this, if I can find it, or I can make some calls, but we have to play with the possibility that it might happen in the morning on the 19th, for example, because it's usually in the mornings as any other mass, right?
Okay, that's fine. That's why. Sorry guys, I really have to go now. Apologize
you,
for this,
Raj.
but thank you very much everyone for coming and for asking all your questions, etc. I think this is going to be useful not just for you but for everyone, right? Because this is being recorded. So I'm going to stop recording now. I'm going to stop sharing first and then stop the recording, and then